Okay, hello everyone, and welcome to another version of the Police Oversight Panel meeting. So first thing is we are going to call the meeting to order. We're going to go through a few things. So we want to welcome everyone in the public and press if they're joining. Welcome all panel members on today, Indigenous Day. So just keeping that in mind as we do our land acknowledgement. Thank you everyone for being here. And we're gonna remind folks that expectations to have camera on at least minimum when we're voting, just for full transparency with our community members. We have the Q&A section active, so Selena is gonna help us keep an eye on Q&A, and if possible, we can answer some of the questions. If not, we will have open comment, public comment in a little after halfway through our meeting. Again, we want to set a reminder that complaints may be submitted and the panel can be contacted in our website, bouldercolorado.gov/services/police oversight, or our panel email, policeoversightpanel@bouldercolorado.gov. Again, another reminder, our meetings are posted in our website, so you can go back and look at past meetings, and this one should be up in a couple of days. Same with our agenda. So to start, we can do a roll call for assistance. Selena or Sherry? Oh, Sherry?
Do we do land acknowledgements?
No, I was going to do the roll call and then a land acknowledgement, but
got
I
it.
can go the other way around.
Nope, I'll do roll call.
Okay, thank you.
Chico.
Around.
Bill said he's not going to be here. Alan?
Here.
AB seems like she's not going to be here. Turner?
Here.
Soledad?
Here.
Milan informed us that she's not going to be here. Lizzie?
Here.
We don't see Kristen. Jason?
Present.
And hopefully Curtis will be here in a bit.
Excellent. So let's go ahead and read our land acknowledgements. We acknowledge that Arapaho, Ute, and Cheyenne tribes were the traditional custodians of the land on which the Police Oversight Panel and Boulder Police Department operate, and we pay our respects to their elders, past and present, with a special consideration today that we commemorate and we reflect on the history and colonization and harm, and hopefully with our work we can honor those that were here before us. So thank you everyone, and I think we are ready to roll. So I'm going to remind the panel of our community agreements. You can refer to them in our website. And the first order of business will be the approval of our agenda. If everyone was able to look at our agenda. Chico?
Can I add something to the agenda?
Of course.
So I want to propose that we add to this the 5-year ordinance review as a discussion.
Okay, adding that now in my notes. So let me get to it. Chico, are you okay if we add that in panel at the updates and ad hoc items? So that will be right after the independent police monitor report.
That's fine. Anyway, as
Perfect.
long as we have it.
Okay, we're putting it there. Thank you so much. With the addition then with of Chico's topic, can we get a motion to approve the agenda for tonight, please?
To approve.
And a second.
Seconded.
Okay. Vote please to approve the agenda. Everyone in favor, say hi, raise your hand, make yourself visible.
Aye.
Perfect. Thank you, Jason. Okay. Next on our agenda, approval of last month minutes.
Motion to approve.
Lizzie?
There were some details missing. I wasn't sure what the panel felt about requesting that those be added in or not. I don't want to speak for anyone else. But I noticed the exchange we had at the end of the meeting was not included. Does anyone want to propose that that be added? If not, I'm good dropping it. Okay. Great.
I will agree with you, Lizzie, but it would be good to have that added. Just
Okay. The exchange we were missing is the references to a potential conflict of interest and the discussion around that. If everyone is comfortable with that and good with that, I think we should add it in. Do we need to vote?
Yeah, we need to vote on that.
yeah. So we need a vote. We need a motion to add the change to the minutes.
I'll
Then
make a motion
second.
to change, I'll make a motion to make the addition to the minutes and approve them.
I'll second that. Thanks, Alan.
Okay, can we vote on that, please? Everyone in favor of adding that? Against?
Jason abstains because I was not present, so I couldn't.
Thank you, Jason. Okay, so moving on, we're gonna fly through this agenda today. Okay, community outreach and engagement. We have two topics, and because of the amount of time that we have allocated to our further discussion in the next a little bit further down the agenda, we're just going to name that we have the event planning document that Bill has kind of worked and put together. And also we have a conversation pending in the 5-year panel anniversary event. So we, in conversation with Bill and Milan, we are inviting everyone to have that conversation at the Community Engagement Committee meeting that is happening this Thursday, next Thursday, some Thursday of this next couple of weeks. So knowing that, if you have interest in talking about any of those two or being part of those two, please come to the meeting. Sherry.
It looks like, it looks like the meeting is scheduled for November 6th.
Okay, perfect. November 6th then. So next we have the Independent Police Monitor report.
I did want to just give a quick update for people to marinate on regarding, I was able to attend an event at the Museum of Boulder, and I floated the idea of possibly the 5-year panel anniversary event being held there as like a lecture series conversation. And I was told that they thought that their membership would be interested in that. So I was not told no. So just that is a a possibility to explore, but it was also shared that even though like February and March might seem really far away, given where we are in the year and the holidays, it's actually not that far away. So I just wanted to let people percolate on that, but certainly if people have other ideas, come to the community engagement meeting on November 6th, or just email them to Bill, so that we can hopefully have several options to choose from.
Perfect. Taking note of that. Okay, now your report.
Sorry, that took a moment. Are people able to see just the screen right now? Okay, great. Okay. Okay, the October 2025 Independent Police Monitors Report. Okay, looking at our data for September 2025, the panel conducted one full case review in September, and that case review is still going to be pending BPD disposition, and cases awaiting panel review are 9. Cases that were closed with the Boulder Police Department in September include MI 2025-032. A mother expressed concerns that her son's interactions with BPD in the days leading up to and including his tragic overdose death in fall 2024. During conversation with BPD Chief of Police, she sought information about her son's passing. Mother did not file a formal complaint at that time. Following their conversation, BPD leadership conducted a review of the relevant incidents involving her son and provided coaching to the involved officers in February 2025. In April 2025, Mother submitted a formal complaint regarding those same interactions. Because corrective action had already been taken in response to the incidents prior to the filing of the complaint, the case has been closed. The file is currently being prepared for the Police Oversight Panel to review the case to consider any potential policy or training recommendations. The allegations include against Officer 1, Rule 1, compliance with values, rules, and general orders. General Order 201, report writing, failed to create an RMS report to document BPD interaction with son on October 13th, 2024. Rule 2, conformance with laws, CRS 27-65-106, did not initiate an M1 hold for son. Rule 2, conformance with laws, CRS Section 27-81-111, did not take son into protective custody. Rule 4, respect for others, laughing and or joking about son. Rule 4, respect for others, laughing while CPR was being performed on son. All of those allegations are closed against Officer 1. Allegations for Officer 2, Rule 2, conformance with laws, CRS Section 27-81-111, did not take son into protective custody. Officer 3, Rule 2, conformance with laws, CRS Section 27-65-106, did not initiate an M1 hold for son. Officer 3, Rule 2, conformance with laws, CRS Section 27-81-111, did not take son into protective custody. Officer 3, Rule 4, respect for others, laughing and or joking about son. And Officer 4, Rule 4, respect for others, laughing while CPR was being performed on son. Those allegations against Officers 2, 3, and 4 have been closed. MI 2025-034, Complainants are neighbors with Officer 1 in a jurisdiction separate from Boulder, and they have been engaged in conflict. Complainants allege that Officer 1 shoots off fireworks and taunts them. Complainants describe the taunting as Officer 1 standing in his front door or yard and looking towards their home, sometimes laughing at them. The monitor initially referred this case to conflict facilitation process, but complainants refused participation. Subsequently, Officer 1 was granted permanent protection orders. Complainant filed for protection orders against Officer 1 and were denied by the courts. The allegations are Rule 1, conformance with laws, deployed fireworks, CRS sections 12-28-101 and 12-28-102. I recommended that that allegation be unfounded in accordance with General Order 120, and the department agreed. And Rule 4, respect for others, harassed and or taunted neighbors. The monitor recommended that that be unfounded, and the department agreed. MI 2025-036, Officer 1 conducted a traffic stop and informed driver he failed to stop at a stop sign. Complainant was in the passenger seat of vehicle. Officer 1 learned that driver was the subject of an order of protection that protected a woman and her children. Sergeant 1 stopped to assist and obtained the names of complainant and the juvenile passengers. Officer 1 confirmed that they were not protected parties and issued driver a traffic summons. Officer 1 provided her business card to complainant. Allegations against Officer 1, Rule 1, compliance with values, rules, and general orders, General Order 200, discretion, arrest standards, and enforcement actions, did not provide her name or badge number. I recommended that this allegation be unfounded, and the department determined that it was also unfounded in accordance with General Order 120. Another allegation is Rule 1, compliance with values, rules, and general orders. General Order 303, traffic enforcement, did not explain the reason for the stop. I recommended that this allegation be unfounded in accordance with General Order 120, and the department agreed. And Rule 1, compliance with values, rules, and general orders. General Order 100, unbiased policing, racially profiled the vehicle occupants. I recommended that this allegation be unfounded in accordance with General Order 120, and the department agreed. MI 2025-040, PSU received an anonymous online complaint from a bicyclist who reported that a BPD vehicle almost struck him as it turned into an alleyway. The bicyclist reported that they fell or swerved and sustained scrapes on their ankle. Reportedly, the BPD officers responded sarcastically after the near collision. The location and time provided in the online report did not match the GPS of any BPD vehicle. Additional investigative steps also could not determine the identity of the vehicle occupants. So the allegation against unknown officer, Rule 1, compliance with values, rules, and general orders, CRS Section 42-4-1402, careless driving, drove in a manner that caused a near collision with complainant. I recommended that this allegation be closed as employee unidentified in accordance with General Order 120, and the department agreed. And also Rule 4, respect for others, failed to show care and were engaged sarcastically with complainant. I also recommended that that be closed, employee unidentified, and the department agreed. MI 2025-042, Officers 1 and 2 and Sergeant 1 were dispatched to an RTD station to remove complainant who refused instructions to leave given by RTD staff and security. Upon arrival to the trespassing in progress call, BPD members were advised the complainant had been following, harassing, and videotaping RTD employees. RTD employees confirmed that they wanted complainant removed from the premises. Complainant refused multiple requests by BPD members to leave or potentially receive a trespassing summons. BPD members issued a trespassing summons with the support of RTD employees, and the RTD Customer Code of Conduct identifies harassment as a prohibited action. Allegation against Officer 1 is Rule 5, police authority and public trust violated the rights of complainant. I recommended that this allegation be unfounded in accordance with General Order 120, and the department agreed. Same allegation against Officer 2, Rule 5, Police Authority and Public Trust, violated the rights of complainant. I also recommended that that is unfounded, and the department agreed. And the same allegation against Sergeant 1, Rule 5, Police Authority and Public Trust, violated the rights of complainant. I also recommended unfounded, and the department agreed. And MI 2025-043, BPD officers responded to a call that criminal activity, including fights, drug dealing, and sex trafficking, occurred in an RV encampment where people were illegally parked in a shopping complex parking lot. The lot included signs prohibiting overnight parking, and reportedly multiple store managers had instructed the campers to leave. Officers contacted the campers and instructed them to leave or risk getting ticketed. Although other campers complied, complainant initially refused to provide his name or identification. Eventually, he provided his identification and was issued a warning. Complainant did not respond to PSU's attempts to contact him for more details about his complaint. The allegation against Officer 1 is Rule 5, Police Authority and Public Trust, violated complainant's rights by waking him up and/or demanding his identification. I recommended that this allegation be administratively closed in accordance with General Order 120, and the department agreed. Currently, we have 3 open 2024 cases. SM 2024-003 remains in chain of command review. And at our last meeting with the chief, I spoke with Chief Redfern, and he said that they are putting pressure on the members of chain of command to move that case forward. MI 2024-078, we are still trying to schedule this case, so panel scheduling is in progress. And MI 2024-082 is in chain of command review. And looking at the statistics for work completed in September 2025, the monitor classified 12 cases. 7 were identified as misconduct, 2 were identified as serious misconduct, 1 community inquiry, 1 community feedback, and 1 unspecified incident. I did not recommend conflict facilitation process for any cases. I observed 5 interviews. I had 0 critical incident scene response and identified 3 cases as thorough and complete. And in total, BPD closed 6 cases this month. And as of October 7th, the open docket of cases is 43. 24 of those have been classified. 2 of those were pending monitor classification, and 17 of those are in PSU preliminary investigation status. Some of the other activities that the monitor engaged in September, there were 3 trainings that I attended: language access and emergency management training, de-escalation training, and media relations training. Even though it feels very far away, in September I also did the What's Up Boulder in conjunction with panel members, attended the Connect Boulder quarterly luncheon. I attended a meeting with Naropa leadership in BPD, met with the Boulder District Attorney's Office Community Protection Lead, and attended the 10th District Public Safety and Criminal Justice Reform Advisory Committee meeting. Questions, and I cannot see all of you, so. Oh, now I think I can.
Lizzie, I see you.
Yeah, thanks. Sherry, I noticed a few of the cases are not in the status I would expect for cases to appear in this report. There was 3 that are closed in the report that we are pending our review, and another that had not yet come to us for review. It's coming to us tonight. Can you talk a little more about that for the full panel?
I don't have a lot of information to share besides that I have elevated the issue to the city manager, and we have a meeting scheduled between myself, the chief, the city manager, and the city attorney.
Okay, and is that are these all part of the same something going on that we're trying to dig into, or are there different pieces resulting from different circumstances? I saw a reference to one of the cases being part of kind of an ongoing discussion, but there were also 3 others that we have already voted on. Were those part of that as well?
It's yes,
Okay,
yes.
okay. So to be clear, it sounds like these are being closed outside of typical procedures. And we are
Yes.
now having to push back on that.
That is correct.
Okay, that is concerning. It sounds like you share that concern, but
I absolutely share that concern.
Just so we're super clear, plain language, the cases were closed before the panel had the opportunity to review them, right?
That is correct.
Okay. Chico?
Is it worthwhile for the chairs to be part of that meeting so that we have, because we are stakeholders in this. So
Mhm.
if all those parties are meeting, why shouldn't the panel be part of those discussions, and in particular the 2 co-chairs?
I am more than happy to share that request with Nuria. Thank you, Chico.
Okay. Any other thoughts or questions? Neither. Curtis, I see there is a comment of yours in the chat. I don't know if that's meant for everyone.
No, I was just
Oh,
responding to,
Okay,
yeah.
thank you. Okay. Sherry, can you stop sharing your?
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
So we can go back to big picture. Thank you.
Oh,
Okay.
I had different screens, so I was able to see all of you, and I didn't realize that. But thank you so much, Soledad.
No, thank you. Okay, so next, let's go to our next item in the agenda, panel updates. So first of all, a very friendly, kind reminder of our ride-along and expectations regarding that. So the whole panel is expected to have at least one ride-along a year. So it is our understanding that there were some folks that had still pending their ride-along. Sherry?
I don't think anyone in attendance right now, I think everyone in attendance right now is either has completed it or has it scheduled and on the books. So thank you for those of you who have in the last few weeks either accomplished your ride along or have it on your calendars. I appreciate that.
Okay, awesome. So before we move to our next item, I totally neglected to acknowledge that we have in our meeting Sterling Ekwo from BPD, who is our liaison. So thank you, Sterling, for being here, and Chris Reynolds, Boulder City Attorney's Office. So thank you, Chris, for being here. But just those are the 2 other names you see in your screen. Okay, so our next item is a debrief on the special meeting request. It feels like a month ago is forever, and it's not that long ago. So let's do kind of a recap. Lizzie and I, as co-chairs, received a request from 3 panel members to have a special meeting. When we requested guidance to the city attorney's office, so directly to Chris, in terms of how to have this meeting. So just to be clear, we were not asking if we could have the meeting, we were just asking what are the things that we need to do to have this meeting in the best legal possible way without any mistake that could cause any trouble. So the answer for that request of kind of guidance and clarification and how to better host this meeting was what everyone saw, that we were not allowed to meet outside this meeting. In general, that was kind of the answer. That also triggered a legal memo that we all received that we cannot talk a lot about. So, but we can say that we received a legal memo. And so anyway, so we wanted to provide a space to bring that topic forward. See if anyone have any question, any concern, maybe brainstorm regarding how do we move forward. Chico.
Thanks for the background. I think that the other piece that, as part of the reporting, is that we got the city manager is willing to meet either in groups of 2 or individually to discuss whatever. So that's something we need to wrap around with all this.
Okay. Turner.
I think we talked a little bit about this in the legal training, but if there was, we talked about like, are the community engagement meetings all okay, or is it just this that we only have the go ahead for?
That's a great question, Turner. So there's different ways that and good evening, everyone. It's good to see you all. There are a few different contexts in which the panel is authorized to meet under the ordinance, this being one of them, and then as well in the community engagement function, and then training, and then can request a meeting with the chief if there's disagreement about a sustained allegation of discipline, can request that meeting. So those are, and that is outlined in the legal memo. So I would just suggest, going back to that, if there are questions about the current scope of authority to gather in more than groups of 2. And I just want to also reiterate that this meeting can be used to discuss what was wanted to be discussed at the special or emergency meeting. So I just wanted to put that out there as well, that can use the agenda for this meeting to, you're the masters of your own agenda, so you can put things on there. But thank you.
Yeah, Chris, so one of the questions that I don't think we have a clear answer to is the meeting with the chief. That's a quarterly meeting that is not a training, and there is not a disagreement in the result of a case. And we have been having those. So it would be great to have an answer to that one.
Yeah, it's still kind of tricky. I would recommend and advise the panel.
I asked for 50 and he's like, whoa, he's like, that's almost too much.
Curtis, we can hear you right now. I don't know if you're, there we go. Meetings with the chief, focusing on learning as much as possible. And then I can reasonably argue, if it ever came to pass, that those are training, but I recognize that is perhaps not the strongest argument that I've ever made in my life. So that's what I would recommend, is for the meetings with the chief, putting things on the agenda that you want to learn about, and then can say it's in the ballpark of training. There was just no basis in the code for a special or emergency meeting, whereas I think there is some basis in the code for meetings with the chief, as long as they don't get too far afield away from trying to increase the panel's knowledge.
Yeah, I think, I mean, honestly, I don't personally like that, because it's more the chief learning from us too. So I wouldn't frame it always as the panel learning from Boulder PD we have a lot to give too. So, and that the exchange is what enriches the conversation. So, anyway, so I don't know if how the panel members feel about moving forward with the need of that meeting. I know that the panel members that requested the meeting, some of them are here. So I don't know if you want to chair, or we can just discuss about adding those topics that were of interest to talk about to our next all panel meeting if you choose to do so. Tico.
I was going to say something on the city manager's proposal of meeting with us individually and in groups of 2. I appreciate that we've got the open meetings laws, but there is 9 of us. You are going to have 9 opinions, and that's not the way the panel should operate. So in my mind, I would rather that if there are any issues that we have as a group, either we send in written submissions or we talk about them, we compile a report and say, this is the report, these are the issues that we want to discuss with the city manager's office. Then we can even make a vote or vote to say the 2 co-chairs are going to have a meeting with the city manager to talk about things that we've mandated them to talk about, things that we've agreed as a group. Instead of going in 2 by 2s or 1 by 1, that's unproductive in my mind.
Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to go to the meat of it. Here's my thought. I don't think that the spirit of the ordinance was for the panel not to be able to meet. That is not at all what the intent was. Even when the original ordinance was written, there was always the contemplation of the panel being able to meet. That's where the meeting with the chief came from. We have been meeting with the chief quarterly since the beginning, the very inception of the panel. That's how some of the important decisions that the prior panels made were actually coming from special meetings. I don't think that's the intent, or was ever the intent of the ordinance. One of the things that were presented as an idea was that we should modify the bylaws to align them with the ordinance. I think that the bylaws are a reflection of the intent. So that's why the meeting and the way that those meetings can be we can have those meetings, ask for those meetings, are outlined in the bylaws, is because when that was the intent of the whole ordinance updating of the bylaws process. So the way that I see this is 2 ways. 1, we change the ordinance. 2, we change the bylaws. I think we should change the ordinance. That's my opinion. I would love to hear thoughts on what are people thinking, if that is something that we should consider. And if that's something that we should consider, then maybe the next step is to create an ad hoc committee that can meet. That's contemplated in the bylaw, not in the ordinance, but here we are. So that may be something that we can talk about and do to actually fix this. Tico.
I think we are on the same page, and hence the reason why I said we add the 5-year review as an agenda item to talk about everything and what we want to see going forward.
Okay, perfect. So then let's move forward to the 5-year ordinance review. Any thoughts on the special meeting? I want to provide the space for anyone to share. Alan.
So usually when you have a special meeting, there's criteria that get set up for, what can be brought up at a special meeting. And I think maybe Chris probably knows that, there's a definition of what a special meeting is, and we're gonna be discussing special meetings. You just can't call special meetings. And so why is it that we just can't discuss a particular topic at a regular meeting? That's, I don't see why we have to have a special meeting to discuss whatever this 3-person tribunal decided that they wanted to discuss separately from our regular business.
Well, I guess I can take that. I think it's my understanding that there's a couple of things. One, timeliness. I think there was a certain sense of urgency on addressing a couple of things that people were experiencing in the meetings. And waiting a whole month was maybe a stretch, so there was a sense of urgency and a reaction to what happened. Curtis, I see your hand.
Yeah, I can speak to that a little bit. I think that urgency, like you mentioned, was a thing, and then also just the fact that the panel is independent and has its, as an independent body, wanting to be able to discuss things that are specific to the panel without the other 3 branches of what this thing coexists as involved in that conversation, so we could try to find a consensus and possibly reach toward the same solutions as an independent branch.
Alan?
Well, just to follow up on that, I think there's this kind of misnomer about being independent. We're really not that independent. In fact, when we go forth to do this review of the ordinance after 5 years, it's not like we're a creature of the city council. So we have to go through the city manager's office to affect changes. And it's not like we're the planning board, or we're not like the board of adjustments or the arts commission. We're kind of buried within the bureaucracy, and we're a creature of the city manager's office. And so for us to consider ourselves independent, that's why we have all these restraints and all these constraints about having meetings and getting permission to do this and that. It's because we're kind of within the structure of the city government, as opposed to being an arm of the city council, for example. It used to be an arm of the city council, but for whatever reason, it got pushed down into the city manager's office. And so I bring this up because I don't know if we want to get our hopes up too high that we're going to just be able to go out there and be activists and be able to go and change the ordinance how we want it. There's still this box that we're sort of surrounded by, where we have a fairly fixed set of boundaries compared to some of the other boards and commissions. And so, my reading of it is that we have a very specific function to advise the city manager, advise the chief of police, but we're sort of limited as far as anything else. Like we're not community activists, or we can't be necessarily, we can be gatekeepers for allowing people to figure out how they can file complaints or participate in the system in some way. But I think that when we use terms like we're making decisions independently, or we should be able to meet independently, I think we need to be on the same page as to what that means. So I think that this whole thing with Katrina's movie, that's a kind of a prime example of how something that's innocent could have been repositioned properly to be a outreach for the panel, as opposed to this community conversation about police reform or whatever. And so I think that it's just a matter of how we what we can do to stay in our lane.
Mm-hmm. So the way that I see it, Alan, and the way that we, and again, like the historical knowledge that I have and experience, I don't think that the inception of the panel is to be independent, and we don't actually advise the city manager, and that's where we're independent. So I think I think it's important to have clarity on the roles, but we are an independent body. We don't report to the city manager directly in the way that the panel functions or make decisions. So I think we need to talk a little bit more about that. Cordis, I see your hand.
Yeah, I'm having a little hesitancy of jumping in because I came in late on this meeting. So where are we at right now on this meeting?
So do you mean in terms of the agenda?
Yes.
So we did some short revision of community and outreach and engagement activities. Then Sherry went through the IPM report.
Okay.
And now we were in the number 9, which is basically panel updates, ad hoc items, and we have 30 minutes allocated to this conversation.
Gotcha.
Part of this section is the debriefing on the special meeting request, the 5-year ordinance or system review, and the debrief with the meeting with the chief and the legal trainee, if we have time for that. Okay. And after that, we have public comment. So just so you know where we are.
Okay. So can I just ask some clarifying questions? Maybe these will go to Chris. We were 3 members had requested to meet independently, or asked how we would meet independently, and that was ultimately you responded as we can't do that because of the meetings can only happen if they're educational. Is that what I'm to understand? If it's a educational thing for the panel?
So the meetings can happen in a few different contexts. So like this is one right here that we're in. This is the main meeting of the panel. The panel can attend trainings, which that's another way that the panel can meet. And then as well, community engagement functions. And there's primarily two different community engagement ways the panel could meet, depending off which provision of the community engagement section of the code the purpose of that meeting is for. And then in addition, the panel members can meet up to 2 individuals so that we don't violate the Colorado Open Meetings law. But those are currently essentially the extent of the authorized types of gatherings that the panel can have under the ordinance.
Okay, and I'm to understand that you're stating that the meeting with the chief falls under training.
For the types of meetings that the panel's authorized to have, that's the closest one.
Right. So the meeting with the chief is being classified as a training meeting.
Based off of my review of chief meeting agendas, taking the last one, the principal item on that agenda was learning about the homeless outreach team. And so that's why I'm saying I could comfortably characterize it as a training, and that I would advise, again, future meetings with the chief to focus on increasing the panel's understanding of some issue or topic and not go outside of that.
And what about the previous meetings prior to the homeless outreach team? Were those also trainings?
I haven't reviewed all of the agendas there, so I can't say which meeting would be classified which way, or if they were outside the scope of the ordinance.
Okay, I'm just feeling that with that type of interpretation, if we are talking right now to I guess brew ideas of how we could have such a meeting, then my question would be, is there a way that we can still independently meet as the panel and in our agenda have items within it that could constitute as training so that that dialogue can be had?
There aren't any, as long as it's reasonably related to civilian oversight of Boulder's police department, there aren't any limitations as to what you can put on the agenda here. If you're asking if whether or not you can exclude anybody from a public meeting, you can't do that. The only time that you could do that is if it was in a closed session to discuss confidential matters involving a case review.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Alan.
Just another question. What are the, would be the noticing requirements and the public disclosure requirements, say, for an agenda that would have to be made? From what I understand, or what I gleaned from the conversation that we had back and forth amongst ourselves, is that there really was an agenda and there was no notice or anything, which would, in my view, preclude a public meeting. And so how would, is there like a general city rule as to what constitutes notice and what constitutes what would go forth for the meeting to be about?
The city always strives to give as much notice for every meeting as possible. I believe the Colorado statute requires 24 hours of notice before any public meeting. I haven't looked at the statute specifically to see the time frame, but I believe that that's the case, that it's 24 hours of notice. And as far as, you know, the notice of a specific agenda, I'm not aware of any requirement in Colorado's open meeting law that says that public bodies have to post in detail their agenda. The point more is to let the public know that a meeting is happening. But you're testing my knowledge of that particular statute. I'll go and take a look later this week.
So then, as a follow-up to that, if, you know, in our case, we have some, maybe it's in a bylaw where 3 people can call a meeting. And so the idea is that if it were privileged information, like about personnel or budgets or lawsuits or whatever, then if that was not disclosed and all of a sudden public started showing up to the meeting, then would that be, so then the panel would declare this to be a private meeting because we're going to be talking about a lawsuit or whatever that would be covered under the meetings law.
So the hypothetical is that the panel wants to convene a special meeting, which is currently not authorized under the ordinance or outside the scope of the ordinance. But if hypothetically it was going to do that, and then in the special meeting that's not currently within the scope of the authority, whether or not the panel can then go into closed session. I mean, I feel like we're getting into like hypotheticals upon hypotheticals. I just don't know how. Go ahead.
My point is that if we just call it, 3 people can call a special meeting, we don't know what it is, and we show up, and it's something that is disallowed, or something that we're not allowed to do, or it's not properly noticed, then to me that's more problematic. And so, like, for example, if 3 people called a special meeting and they didn't tell me what it was about, chances are I wouldn't show up to it. And or say I'm not in favor of having a special meeting unless you tell me what it is. So I just see this as just being way problematic.
Curtis?
Yeah, I wanted to ask, you're saying that panel, and I'm sorry if I'm not using the legal terminology that you're using, but I'm just trying to get a clear understanding, I guess in layman's terms. You're saying that under any circumstances can only panel members have a meeting. I feel like I'm wording that wrong, but you're saying under any circumstances, the panel cannot meet essentially without the monitor.
It's hard for me to imagine a scenario when that would be a lawful meeting, because the only way that panel can meet is, as we've talked about a few times here, is public meeting, training, request a meeting with the chief if there's a sustained allegation of misconduct that the panel disagrees with. Then also there is closed session, but closed session is for a specific purpose, to talk about confidential case information. And the ordinance states that all meetings of the panel are going to be public.
Right.
So yeah, so there is no way to exclude anyone, let alone the monitor.
Okay. Okay.
I would suggest that if there is a desire of any panel member, want to talk about something to do with the monitor and not have the monitor there, then that might be a good idea to reach out to Nuria and request either a 1-by-1 or a 2-by-2 meeting with Nuria, because there isn't a requirement that the monitor be there. I feel weird talking about Sherry in the third person right now, but that would be my advice in that situation, right? Because I don't see a way where the full panel can meet and exclude anyone.
Yeah. Do you have a follow-up, Curtis? No?
No, I don't. Thank you.
Okay, and just so I wanna be clear, and because we're in a public meeting and this is recorded and is here for the record, I wanna be super clear. So there was a request that 3 panel members sent to the co-chairs according to the bylaws that the panel approved last year. The bylaws were approved after the ordinance was approved, so that request fell into what the panel members were trained on, and the panel members knew to be the way of going about this meeting. The reason why the co-chairs reached out to Chris and the city attorney was specifically to be clear in what were the steps to publicize the meeting correctly. So you need to, and this is what I was expecting when we reached out, was, oh, you need to publish the meeting 48 hours in advance. You need to have, and everything is outlined in the bylaws. So there was never an intention of doing anything outside the ordinance or outside the bylaws. So no one here was trying to have a meeting outside what was approved on the bylaws. I want to be super clear on that. There was no agenda sent, and there was no invitation sent to the meeting. The farthest that we got was to try to schedule the meeting and find a date in the proximity that was possible at the time, which was, I think it was a couple of days, a week or so in advance. So I want to be super clear. We are responsible of the work we do. No one here was trying to have an illegal meeting. No one here wanted to go behind the backs of anyone. The request was sent to Selena. Sherry was copied on it when we requested to reserve a room, knowing that that meeting needed to be open to the public and publicized in the website. So we were taking all the steps that we knew to be the right ones at the moment. Only when we submitted that question to the manager's office, the city attorney's office, is when we were told that we were not allowed to meet. So just want to be super, super clear. No one here was trying to have a meeting behind anyone's back. Sherry and Selena, as always, were notified that there was a there has been a request to meet. We requested their support to reserve a room in the public building. And we were taking the steps to do everything we needed to do to make this meeting happen in the best possible way. So there was no intention, and also there was no agenda because we couldn't have the meeting. If we were at that time, if we would have been able to have that meeting, an agenda would have been out with the invitation to attend that meeting. So just want to lay that very, very clear and make sure that everyone understands that that was the intention and that was what happened with that meeting. Sherry knew that there was a request. Sherry knew that the co-chairs were agreeing with that request. And the reason why we wanted to have that meeting is because we identified there was a need for the panel to connect. There was a need to the panel to discuss topics that we didn't have the time to discuss in an old panel meeting. And there was a need for us to talk about how we are going to communicate. The basis of that meeting was communication and how we were interacting with each other. It has nothing to do with any other thing than having kind of an open conversation in how we can best conduct our meetings. We were seeing tension happening in the meetings. We were seeing people were not really happy with the way that the answers that we were getting, and we were trying to provide a space for those things to have to be talked about in a group setting, and not to go around talking one by one or two by two without knowing what everyone else was talking, which is what's going to happen with the meeting with Nuria. So again, that was the intention of the meeting. We didn't want to start reaching out to people one by one. We wanted to gather all together. We appreciate, of course, the 3 panel members that sent the request, because they were also voicing the need of having an open conversation with everyone where we can just lay out, and provide space to figure a way to improve our communication and to improve the ways that we were going about, or the things that people might think they need that they weren't getting in order to do our job properly. So anyway, just wanted to put that out there, very clear, very plain language as possible. So we're clear on that. Okay, Chico, you suggested this topic for the 5-year review.
Yes.
So I want to give you the floor. Thank you.
And I'm going to start with a very philosophical thing, which will make people uncomfortable. And it's okay to be uncomfortable. Friction is good. Being monolithic is bad. We all don't think the same. I know that now diversity is frowned upon, but we are supposed to be different. We're supposed to think independently. And I remember one of the original founding members of the panel, she was very adamant, and I won't mention names. You can investigate on your own. She was very adamant, and it struck me, and up to now it resonates with me, that laws and rules are made by people. If they are made by people, they can be unmade. So as a result, we have a 5-year review that's coming up, right? And I can cite 4 reasons or 4 things that don't sit well with me, right? And it's how we want to take this. It's up to us. And one of the things that I don't kid myself about police oversight. I know that police oversight, wherever you go, is a flawed system. And I don't care being quoted. It's a flawed system because we are complaining to a body that we expect them to make a decision. The same people we are complaining about, and we write a recommendation and we expect them to act. And the question now is, what if they don't like what you've recommended? So what happens? So there in itself is a conundrum, of which now you have, as a society, we have to resolve and say, this is the way we are. If this conflict were to arise, this is the way we are going to resolve it. So there will always be conflict because of the way the system is structured. There will always be conflict time and time again. It's okay to have conflict. It's okay to disagree between our recommendation and the disposition of the chief. It's okay. It's okay. But the question now is, what avenues do we have, or as a society, or the ordinances? We've seen that there's this lacuna, as the lawyers will say, or whatever that word is. There's this. So how do you resolve it? So that's something that should come up now when the 5-year review. And as a society, us, the panel belongs to the people to say, this is the way we are going to, this is the way we want this resolved. That's number one. The second one is, we all know where, we know how this is working. Initially, we were independent. Now we fall under the city manager's office, right? And in the city manager's office, we have the same attorney, Chris, and his office, advising the monitor and advising us. What of situations where the two parties don't agree? Because ideally, we are supposed to be independent or act independently. We have one person advising us, and time again, bless his soul, bless his heart, he tells us that he will act independently, but he works within a system with shackles. So that's something that needs to be reviewed going forward. So the other issue we've talked about is, now we are going into semantics and definitions of regular meeting, special meeting, ordinary meeting, extraordinary meeting. Yes, there's a flaw. So now we have to go back and say, if at all we need to have some meeting, whatever you call it, whether special, ordinary, whatever, we have to have a meeting, not wait for a month to discuss issues. So how do we go back to revise the ordinances to accommodate? So these are the 4 reasons in my mind why the ordinance needs to be reviewed. And I'll leave it up to folks to opine and discuss.
Okay, thoughts, anyone? I'm just gonna push people because this is it. This is the space we have for now to have the conversation. So, Jason, I see your message. Curtis. Okay, Curtis is now, okay. Do we just want to gather people's thought? Do we want to have a break now, come back, take 5 minutes to reflect on it? Do we want to wrap up this conversation and then go to a break? Lizzie, thoughts? Curtis?
Oh, yeah, I'm okay for a break too, but if we're speaking before that, I would like to share something. Are we going into break or?
Give me a second. Lizzie, what are your thoughts? Let's co-share this thing.
Yeah, it's a tough question. I know we're over and it sounds like we have one panel member who's ready for a break. Perhaps we could break, give folks a chance to gather their thoughts, especially since this wasn't originally on the agenda, but it's a meaty and important topic. So, and I really appreciate your thoughts, Chico, to start us off. maybe we take our quick break, we come back, we have a quick discussion, and share thoughts.
Mm-hmm. Okay, sounds good. So it's 7:42. Let's come back at 7:50. Okay, 8 minutes and we're back. We're gonna be a bio break super quick.
We have, looks like we have everyone back and we are recording again. So we will jump back in. We were in the middle of our discussion prompted by Chico's comments of thoughts we wanted to share regarding the potential 5-year review of the panel's role and ordinance. So I want to open the floor at this point for any other thoughts and comments, and also remind folks that we are all welcome and encouraged to schedule meetings one-on-one or two-on-one with Nuria to provide any feedback directly as well. This is to give us a forum to talk about it together and share ideas, but you're also welcome to do that individually at any time. Please do. So we'll open it up. Curtis, I know you had thoughts. Did you want to go first?
I think Curtis
Are you still up?
actually
Oh,
might have jumped off, or maybe something. So he's not here at the moment to be able to speak.
all good. Thank you for pointing that out. Any other thoughts? Go ahead, Turner.
I'm just wondering what this like 5-year review looks like. Like, is that going to be are we going to use like one of these meetings for that, and are we going to just like make suggestions on what we want changed with the ordinance and stuff?
So I believe the review is actually something that Nuria has the ability to do. I think it's every 3 to 5 years as needed. And that's in the ordinance. So it's less something that the panel would be taking on and facilitating, but more something that Nuria has decided to do, given that we're at the 5-year mark for the panel, and is inviting our participation in and our feedback. Go ahead, Alan.
My suggestion would be to kind of following up on Turner's ideas to, maybe set some time aside at 1 or 2 of our meetings, or however long it's going to take, or maybe 2 of us could meet and kind of go through, and or maybe the chairs go through and kind of figure out, narrow down some focus for it. So it sounds to me like the meeting requirements is something that is of interest, and sounds to me like I don't know, it seems to me like that is sort of a broad topic of interest. So maybe we could come up with a kind of our own idea that we would kind of go in with a united front to Nuria and say, these are some things that we think we've learned over time and could make the process work smoother, or whatever it is, as opposed to just this free-for-all thing.
Yeah, thank you, Alan. Is your proposal that we have, I guess I'm thinking through our options here, and maybe 1 of 2 is what you're thinking. 1, we use time in a future all-panel meeting to have a more robust and sort of planned, facilitated discussion within the panel to talk about this in more detail, and then perhaps take a summary to Nuria of the panel's collective feedback, or potentially consider ways to meet outside of this all-panel meeting to discuss this topic, which I think would be a question for Chris. I think it brings to mind, we've previously held meetings for subcommittees that we create, ad hoc committees for specific projects and purposes like this one, and have held those meetings. So I guess first question, Alan, is one of the 2 of those what you were envisioning?
I think it could. This is one of those things that could be couched as training, because what we're going to be doing is going through the ordinance, and I'm presuming we could have Chris or some other facilitator help us go through this, particularly unpacking this meeting part, which seems to be the one of the big sticking points, and the community outreach also seems to be kind of a sticking point. And it doesn't seem like there's a whole lot of, there's a lot of it's kind of boilerplatey kinds of stuff, but I would say those are the two kind of pressure points. And also, what do we mean by independence? I think those are three discussion items that I can see as something I can learn something more about, other than, taking my layman's perspective on, or listening to all your layman perspectives about what you think things are. Because, I think we've all kind of figured out that we're in this box, in the city manager's box. And so how can we do what we want to do within the limitations of what we're presented with inside of with our purview? Because we get too wacky and too renegade, we've got to get this by the city council. And if we start doing too much wacky stuff, they're just gonna tell us to go away. And so I think we have to be thoughtful. I think we have to be targeted. I think we have to be strategic about what we're asking for. And it may not be everything we want. I'm thinking it's going to be just the couple incremental things that get changed, just because I know that's how the city government works. And so I think we have to kind of figure out, okay, we're gonna, ride to the sunset happy, or we're gonna ride to the sunset, downtrodden. I think those are kind of our options. So in fact, I'll ground everybody who wants to do too many wild things, because I don't think that's a worthwhile conversation.
Great. Thanks, Alan. Go ahead, Chico.
I just wanted to put things into perspective. And I think we have to be clear and know that any ordinance review is done by the city council. It's not the city manager's office. The city manager will just drive the process. So let's be clear on that, right? So with that said, I would expect that Chris and his group, they'll act as technocrats to lay a blueprint or a roadmap of what the process will be. Once that process is laid out, it's up to us now to deliberate as an independent body, and we don't have to submit our comments to the city manager's office, because that's not the way the ordinances review have been done in the past. And I beg to be corrected, because the ordinance review, members of the public will also chime in. So we will just be acting as one of these stakeholders. So we don't have to report to the city manager's office. Again, I stand to be corrected until we hear from Chris. Maybe at the next meeting comes up with a roadmap of saying this is the way the ordinance process will go about the review. Then we can sit back and say, now as a group, how do we feed into this process?
Lizzie, can I jump in? So just so to be super clear, what the ordinance says is that the city manager can do a review, not of the panel, not of the ordinance, but of the oversight system. So it's reviewing the system of civilian oversight that the ordinance put in place. So is the whole system, is the three things, how it works with BPD, how it works with the monitor, and how does it work with the police oversight panel. So just so we're super clear. So one thing is that system and that revision that Nuria will conduct. I don't know how, I mean, you know, to be determined, I guess. She will have to determine how she conduct that review. And then we are invited to provide feedback, of course. And then there's a separate issue, I think, that is revising what pieces of the ordinance we now know that were very poorly written, or, you know, or allow an interpretation that is literally against the intention of the system, but of the panel system. So I think those are two conversations, and I agree. I think it's it makes sense for us to provide a feedback as a group. And I think, to your point, to what you were asking, Lizzie, I think this is what an ad hoc committee can do. And if someone is willing to put the work and you know, and do this specific task, I think that will be a very, very purposeful use of our time.
Thanks, Soledad. Go ahead, Chris.
Thank you. And I was just going to point to the code, as you did, Lizzie, 2-11-21. That's the code provision that talks about the system evaluation every 5 years. And it's just the city manager is the one who basically drives that process. So I would just recommend to anyone who's interested in learning more about it is reading that section of the code to understand what the scope of the evaluation would be.
You, Chris. Other thoughts on, and I really appreciate, Soledad, you kind of delineating those two topics that we're talking about. We have panel participation in the 5-year evaluation review process that Nuria will be leading. And then separately, we have kind of panel feedback that I think could contribute to that review, but related to specifically the ordinance and some of the gaps we have identified. Any thoughts on either of those two issues for today? Or thoughts on an ad hoc committee, how we might move this forward? And Chris,
So,
yeah.
I would recommend, so there's different ways that the panel could do this. To start though, I would kind of wait for Nuria to announce an evaluation so that she can give you this kind of roadmap that's been referenced, since it has never happened. We might be putting getting ahead of ourselves a little bit. It's good to talk about ideas of perhaps, you know, ordinance changes and all of that we might recommend, but I would submit that waiting until it's announced and learning a little bit more additional information from the city manager's office for how the evaluation will be structured could help the panel develop its plans. But then, you know, if the panel wanted to get a head start on ordinance suggestions for revisions and things like that, I would recommend appointing 2 members of the panel with some guidance for them to meet to get into the weeds and specifics, and then they could bring back to an all panel meeting what they've kind of drafted up for discussion. I would not advise committee meetings of more than 3 panel members for that purpose.
Okay, so two panel members only would be meeting for the committee component. All work with more than 2 panel meetings would remain in the all panel meetings. More than 2 committee members.
Essentially, yes.
Okay. And just for clarification, in case anyone had questions, we did get a sort of invitation from Nuria last month to begin providing feedback for the review. So there I think you're right, Chris, that there probably would be a future, like, more official rollout of the review happening, but I think we've also sort of been invited to provide feedback at this stage. Maybe we could get more direction from Nuria on what's most helpful, but just pointing that out. Go ahead, Chico.
So I was going to say that, yes, we wait for the roadmap until it's announced. Then the next question is, the same ad hoc that we are thinking about 2 people, what resources are going to be availed to this group? Because last time around we had this review, we had an external consultant who came and helped us stay online. So is that something that we can request again?
Chico, are you referring specifically to the ordinance,
Yes,
update
yes,
process?
yes.
Yeah. I think, please group, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't know that an official change the ordinance, update the ordinance process has been proposed or launched. I think perhaps that could come out of the review as a action item, but I don't know that we're there yet. I think any subcommittee we would be putting together now would be to talk through whatever you all are wanting to propose, but my impression is talk through the feedback that we would want to provide as a group to Nuria as part of the review evaluation, or I think as part of, if this is something the panel wanted to do, advocating for an additional edit or update to the ordinance. Go ahead, Soledad.
Oh, muted. Just I'm a policy person, so that's where what this is coming from. When you want to change the law, anyone can change the law, which is this case. So is the city law, and the same way that we're not, I don't think that the goal is to do a massive change in the ordinance. It's just we identify that the fact that all the meetings that could potentially help the panel do their job were not specified in the ordinance, even though, and just to want to say this, Chico, because when we were writing the ordinance, we had a consultant writing the ordinance with us, we also had Erin Poe from the city attorney's office working with us. So this is a huge mistake, and it's a huge mistake with 2 words that need to be added to the language of the ordinance. We're not doing a massive change. We will be doing the panel shall meet once a month and all these other times, and the way that they are done is in the bylaws, which are already in the bylaws, so it's not a huge change. So I think coming up with that language is fairly simple, and it shouldn't be something that is like exclusive prerogative of the city to do. We can do it, I can do it, like anyone can actually submit a change in the law following whatever procedures the city has, and the city council will vote for it. So I don't think it's a big, like it's not as big as providing all the changes or providing all the feedback to the system, in my opinion. So
can I just push back on that?
Yes.
And say that in my mind,
Mm-hmm.
we need a big overhaul. In my mind, the fact that we are falling under the city manager's office, how's that working for us? You tell me.
Yeah.
So if we have other boards and commissions that are separate and independent reporting to the city, you tell me.
Mm-hmm.
So there are issues like that, of even the same adjudication of saying, how do we resolve differences between what we recommend and what the disposition is from the other side? Those are big deals, which our community is entitled for us to have answers to. And in my mind, this is a big deal. If you don't do it after 5 years, when?
Yeah, no, I hear you. And I just want to put out there that the reason why we took this ordinance, the police oversight panel out of the realm of the city council was so it wasn't politicized. And there was this commitment from the city manager's office to keep the panel independent and not to be trapped into the politics of the politicians that, were in the city council, and that's what kind of brought the panel to the debacle that we were when we went on strike a couple of years ago. So no system is perfect, and we have to figure out. I agree with you. But that's why I think that we have a big thing to resolve, and then we have a small thing to resolve. And I think the panel being able to meet is an absolute need that has to change. So anyway, that to say that I agree with you, Chico.
Thank you both. Recognizing we're getting short on time, I think we have a relatively, we can make up some time in the agenda for sure, but I want to keep us as on track as possible. If we have any other thoughts, please share them. Other than that, I'm interested if we have any motions for next steps on this issue at this time. Or do we feel like we fulfilled the need today for the discussion for now? Go ahead, Chico.
I'll say we leave it on as an agenda item for next month until we wait to hear from Chris and the city manager.
Are there specific questions or topics?
The roadmap. So we leave it as an open agenda item for next month. By then we would have clarity on how this whole thing will shake out in terms of how it will roll out. It's the rollout that we need to know.
Got it. Okay. Go ahead, Chris.
Thank you. Just the city manager controls the 5-year review process. So I'm kind of waiting just like you all are. I can talk about how ordinances can be changed, the process at city council, but I don't control the 5-year review process. So I want to make sure that expectations are clear and you know what my role is. I'll be, you know, maybe I will learn more between now and the next meeting about what the city manager intends for the 5-year review. But I cannot bring like a roadmap of what it's going to look like. So I just want to make sure that the panel knows that.
Thanks, Chris. I'm getting a note that someone's hand. Oh, it's Curtis. Okay, sorry, I couldn't see your hand at first. Go ahead, Curtis.
Yeah, Chris, I'm just curious if the city manager can reject our request for a 5-year review.
Can I jump in? Just I fair question and would love to know the answer in general, but just to make sure there's no misconceptions. Nuria actually brought this issue to us and said, I think it's time for this review. I'd like to conduct it. Soledad and I discussed it with her briefly because we had a regularly scheduled co-chair meeting, but she had brought this to our attention and is advocating for it. Is that, do you want to, any info, Chris, you want to provide as well? Please go for it.
Yeah, that's good.
No,
Thank you.
Thanks, Lizzie.
Perfect. All right. So we are hoping to request some additional information from Nuria about how this may proceed so that we can be as collaborative and helpful as possible in providing input and participating. Do we need to vote on that, or are we comfortable agreeing on that with consensus? Is that a panel vote? No. Okay. We are consensed. We'll assume. Okay, we'll add it to the agenda for next time. Thank you all for a great discussion. All right, with that, I don't believe we have any members of the public with us. If we do, we have time for public comment. A bit late today. Do we have anyone in attendance? Nope. All right. For any members of the public who are listening to this in the future, please join us. We'd love to have you at any future meetings. You're always welcome, and we give time for public comment to anyone who is in attendance. So please join us and share your thoughts with us. All right, with that, we will go into our regular business. We have the option at this time to motion to go into closed session to discuss cases. Do we have a motion to do so?
I'll motion.
Second.
All right, all in favor of going into closed session? Jason, Curtis, mind giving us a verbal or perfect?
Thank you.
All right. Okay. With that, we will go into closed session for no longer than 20 minutes, probably shorter today, I would guess.
Awesome. All right, I'm gonna move you over to the closed session.
All right, we are back from our closed session. We will move into our case review voting. So I'll take us through each of the case numbers, and then we will do our roll call vote. So starting with, give me one moment here, lost my summaries. All right, so skipping 042 and 043, which are not available for us to vote on, we will start with MI 2025-044. This includes for 1 officer, 1 Rule 4, respect for others, 1 Rule 5, police authority, and public trust.
Okay. Chico.
Yes.
And Alan. Alan? You're muted.
Alan, if you're having issues with sound, you could give us a thumbs up, thumbs down visually, perhaps.
No. No, I'm not having trouble with sound. A no on the vote.
Alan, do you have your vote for MI 2025-044?
No.
Turner
Yes.
and Soledad.
Yes.
Lizzie,
Yes.
Kristen,
Yes.
Jason,
Yes.
and Curtis still is not in the meeting,
No.
correct? Okay.
He did text back. He's not going to join, so we're good to move
Oh,
ahead.
okay. Thank you for that. Okay, so that sounds like a yes
Mhm.
from the group.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. Next case is MI 2025-045. In this case, we have 1 allegation against 1 officer, Rule 4, respect for others.
Okay, Chico.
Yes.
Alan.
Yes.
Turner.
Yes.
Soledad.
Yes.
Lizzie.
Yes.
Kristen.
Yes.
Jason.
Yes.
All right. That's another yes to review. Our next case is MI 2025-04X. PSU number is pending. This is EBT number 1483. And in this case, we have 1 allegation against 1 officer, Rule 1, compliance with values, rules, and general orders.
Chico.
Yes.
Alan.
Yes.
Turner.
Yes.
Soledad.
Yes.
Lizzie.
Yes.
Kristen.
Yes.
Jason.
Yes.
All right, their case is a yes for review. Next up, we have MI 2024-04X. This is EBT 1486. Here we have 3 allegations against 1 officer, Rule 1, compliance with values, rules, and general orders. A second, or actually all 3, Rule 1, compliance with values, rules, and general orders.
Okay, Chico,
Yes.
Alan,
Yes.
Turner,
Yes.
Soledad,
Yes.
Lizzie,
Yes.
Kristen,
Yes.
and Jason.
Yes.
All right, another yes to review. Our last case, MI 2025-04X. This is EBT 1392. In this case, we have 1 allegation against 1 officer. It's Rule 5, police authority and public trust.
Chico,
Yes.
Alan,
Yes.
Turner,
Yes.
Soledad,
Yes.
Lizzie,
Yes.
Kristen,
Yes.
Jason.
Yes.
All right, we will also review that case. I don't know if that has ever happened before. We are reviewing all of these cases that came before us. We'll move into volunteers for staffing our case reviews, starting with 044. Do we have volunteers to review? We have Jason, Chico. Do we have a third? And volunteer someone who is not here tonight, since we have so many cases, if we don't have a third, so that's fine. Soledad, do we want to choose someone now or review maybe the gaps at the end of the meeting and assign some folks? Okay.
I'm just
Well,
wondering, can I, even if I'm waiting to be shadowed on this other case, can I still take this?
I would think so. We should be able to get your shadowing done by then. That seems fair to me.
And if
Then-
not, we can just, then the co-chairs can assign someone to.
Okay.
And then
Then, yeah,
this could be a case that you shadow.
Yeah, that's cool too.
Perfect. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and, or did you want to volunteer for this one? Okay, perfect. All right, thank you. Next case, MI 2025-045. Volunteers.
I have a question. Are we, if these cases are related,
I would
should
I would
we-
recommend that the same people review
so that's kind of the bulk of this, the next 3 cases?
well, the third case is totally unrelated. But
Great
4
point.
cases, you're right.
So 1482 and 1483 should have the same panel.
that would be my recommendation. It would be
Okay.
much more efficient.
Okay. I'm good volunteering for those.
I will. I can't.
Kristen. Perfect. I've got Kristen. Any others? And we've been trying to do 4 panel members just for scheduling, so I can always add a 4th with someone who is not here. Soledad.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Perfect. Anyone
Wait.
else?
Sorry, Lizzie, Kristen, Soledad.
Yep, just those 3 for now. We'll
Oh,
probably add
okay.
a 4th.
Okay, and then duplicating that for EVT 1483.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
So MI 2025-045 and
The first
Yeah.
X.
okay. Thanks.
All right. Our second X 1486.
Mm-hmm.
Volunteers.
Ellen can do that one.
Alan, thank you. Soledad, one more, or we can use our
Yeah.
reserves.
Yeah, I think we should assign people.
All right, perfect. We'll sign 2 there. All right, last case, MI 2025-04X, this is 1392.
Okay, I can review that one.
Do this one as well.
You can add Milan to it. I have permission
Oh,
for one case.
great. Yes, yeah, she did say that. All right, anyone want to be added to any of these who has not already been added for this case or any of the others? Everyone good? All right. With that,
I'm
go ahead.
sorry, maybe I missed this so for 1486, I have Alan and Soledad. Was there somebody else? Or is that co-chairs are gonna assign people later?
We're gonna assign two
Oh,
more.
okay,
Yeah, of
got it. Thank you.
course. All right. With that, I think if we don't have any other business, we will adjourn. Little bit overtime here. Sorry about that, but thank you all for hanging in there with us. Thanks for a great meeting as always. Have a great night. Do we need a motion to adjourn? Yes. Do
So
we have a
moved.
motion to adjourn? Excellent. Second?
Seconded.
Perfect. Do we have all in favor of adjourning for the night? Excellent. All right. Have a great night, everybody. Thank you all. Thanks for being here.
Aye.
Thank you.